That is one of my goals, to be a workaholic. Now, you might call me crazy, but y'all, welcome back to my channel. I am Ness of Glamour by Ness, and yo! And I think this is the direction I'm gonna go in with this video. Like, even though like I had every intention to film, I did not film. Because I'm tired. Like the other night I went to sleep at like 3 o'clock in the morning. And then I was supposed to get up at 6:30 to go work out again at 7. But that didn't happen. Shout out to my boo, Cordova, my accountability partner, but it didn't happen. Now, I want to talk about that. Like, you know, for me, I have it in my mind, like we've been talking about, essentially believing in yourself, me believing in myself, me not listening to the negative self-talk and the incessant, you know, doubt and fear that holds us back. And, you know, I now know better. So I'm operating from a space where I can recognize that, you know, I'm getting into, or my choices that I'm making, or the thoughts that I'm allowing, is leading me down to that dark path of depression and just nothingness, really. Like, you know, when you're depressed, you don't want to do anything. Like, life is mundane and bland and just blah, like vanilla ice cream. Don't come for me for saying that. I said it. So, you know, it's like, I'm like, oh, I'm negative self-talking again, or oh, like this is fear. I'm not doing something because I'm letting fear get in the way. And I think, you know, that took place as well. And I woke up, so that day, or the last video that I shot was, I think, Tuesday morning, if I'm not mistaken. It was a long day that day, and I was supposed to record the next day that morning, but I can't recall everything that took place, but it was a lot going on. And so I kept pushing, you know, me recording back. I kept pushing it back, along with some other things that I wanted to do, because at that point, unexpected, you know, events were occurring. And so I'm like, okay, well then I'll study at this time. But studying requires my undivided attention. And like I told y'all, like, in order for me to study, I can't be in my house. Like, if I'm in my house now, but I'm not studying. But if I'm studying in my house, then I'm like, oh, this needs to be done, or let me cook, or let me take, you know, meat out of the freezer so it can thaw. You know, there's so many things for the house that I'm focused on that I can't focus on just studying, because I'm like looking at the time, like, okay, ghetto. I know. So I kept pushing things back, and before you know it, it was 3 o'clock in the morning, and I'm like, I have to be up in a few hours. And, you know, I got up, but I went right back to sleep. And that is where, you know, I feel, you know, I tank, right? But I've had to ask myself, did I really tank? Because that night I did study, right? So excited, but there was so much more that I wanted to do, you know, like take the practice exam and stuff like that. And I couldn't, because it was super late at that point in time. And y'all, like, I was tired, and I had come from the gym, and I was still in my gym clothes, sweaty as hell. I'm like, I have to take a shower. And before you know it, I'm climbing in bed at 3 o'clock in the morning. Okay, just get to. Amongst other things. So this is just one little blip that I'm like, you know, letting y'all know about. But I realized how critical of myself and hard on myself that I was being. You know, these things that, you know, take place, like me cooking for my family. Like, I have to cook, right? Like, I do have to cook. And I wish I had the luxury or the funds to just be like, hey, we're just taking takeout, which I had done, you know, earlier in the week, but there wasn't enough funds to do that. But we have food at the house, but food requires food at the house that needs to be cooked requires time. So I have to make sure like my family's taken care of it. I'm taking care of it. I'm feeding myself. Even the hustle and bustle of trying to manifest the life of luxury that I want, I realized that there are some things that are just not going to get done. I had to prioritize. I had to shift and prioritize some things, and sleep was one of them. Like, I needed to get my rest. If your girl don't get her 8 hours, it's not going to be a good day. Being aware and shifting, just because you don't get a certain task completed that day, like, don't miss another day, right? But even if you just do 30 minutes of it, like coming home from the gym, I'm like, I am going to study. I don't care, no ifs, ands, or buts. I am going to study. And I did. I stayed up for an hour. I literally, well, really an hour and a half, but really pushed myself to do that. But my goal for studying is to study 6 hours a day. And that goal for me looks like 3 hours during the day and 3 hours in the evening. But I was only able to get an hour and a half in, and I didn't even finish what I intended to do. So I'm like, do I beat myself up for it, or do I recognize and applaud myself for pushing myself and doing something rather than nothing at all? And I think that is the most important factor to really like focus on. Really being kind to yourself, really. But change doesn't happen overnight. And we talked about this. Change doesn't happen overnight. And I realize if I am 1% better every day, then the accumulation of that will be much more rewarding than doing 0% of something. Look at makeup on my hand, y'all. I had a client today. I'm gonna show you guys the mess, the artistic mess. But I was proud of myself for that 1%. You know, I was tired. I had just come from the gym. I didn't want to do anything, but I pushed, I persevered, and I did it. So one of the books that, as I'm, talking and thinking, one of the books that talks about this is the Atomic Habits book. Phenomenal book. If you haven't read it, do yourself a favor and read the book. I've read it like at least maybe 4 times now, 4 or 5 times. And I'm going to read it again until I am like a mean working machine. That is one of my goals, to be a workaholic. Now, you might call me crazy, but I want to become a workaholic in what I love to do. I'm making a choice to change. I want to change. And in order for me to have this life that I know I deserve and need and want, right? I am making the choice to be disciplined. It's not how many times we fall. It's really and truly if you get back up. It is a choice. Now, pretty sure you're not choosing to fall, right? I don't think anyone chooses to fall, but if you choose to stay down, if you fall, then that is a choice. You can either get up, dust yourself off, or try again.